ก่อนอื่นก็ขอสวัสดีท่านผู้เข้าร่วมงานสัมมนาทุกท่านนะคะเดี๋ยวจะขอเข้าสู่ในช่วงแรกของงานสัมมนาของเรานะคะวันนี้เราได้รับเกียรติจากดร. Eric Tsao นะคะซึ่งท่านจะมาเป็น keynote speaker ของเราในวันนี้นะคะก่อนอื่นจะขอแนะนำประวัติท่านวิทยากรคร่าวๆนะคะดร. Eric Tsao นะคะปัจจุบันดำรงตำแหน่ง Associate Research Fellow นะคะแล้วก็ยังเป็น CEO ของ Conservation and Research Center แล้วก็ Animal Adopt โปรแกรมของ Taipei Zoo นะคะหรือสวนสัตว์ไต้หวันนะคะสำหรับในวันนี้นะคะท่านจะมาเล่าให้เราฟังถึงทำอย่างไรถึงจะ reverse the race นะคะ Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Eric Tsao to present in the topic Together we can reverse the race. Please, Dr. Eric.
So, Mr. Nopong Dong Pansan, the Secretariat from Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment, all the dear colleague from ZPOT and from the zoo in Thailand. It's a great honor to be invited to share some insight of Reverse the Red, the new movement that initiated by World Association and Zoo Aquarium collaborate with IUCN SSC. So you can see the first slide. I need to speed up. I know everybody probably waiting for a little bit. So the first slide, you can see the logo of Taipei Zoo. It's actually symbolize our duty and our work to contribute to conservation. So the Sika deer in Taiwan used to be extinct in the wild. So with a very little number of Sika deer left at Taipei Zoo, so we conducted a quite successful breeding program. So now the Sika deer can be reintroduced back into the wild. So they are widely distributed in southern part of Taiwan. So using the Sika deer as a logo actually symbolize our role for conservation. We all know the biodiversity crisis. So not just the habitat loss or over harvest, but nowadays it's a climate change and invasive species issue, and also even the infectious disease. So it's all cause the great loss of our biodiversity whole world. So every year, at least more than 50 vertebrates, they are getting to moved to the higher category of extinct. So this is IUCN threatened species logos that you can see. But what we can see is the species that cannot move fast or they have limited distribution area would be the major victim. So like the amphibian, it is more than 41% becoming the threatened species. But so it's probably also symbolize our own life. If we have different expertise, we can survive better in this society. So how the zoo and aquarium can move forward, look at all our collection. So all these threatened species, more than 15% vertebrates that already in our care. So that's also demonstrate our unique obligation that we need to work together to saving the species in our care. So in recent years, World Association of Zoo and Aquarium tried very hard to work with ZPOT and many other institution members. We developed the strategy, including like for conservation, for animal welfare, for the education, but also we produce a lot of short guide like carbon offset, one plastic, also like the reverse red. So reverse red movement is a global movement. It was initiated in the year 2020. We try to save the species, but we try to halt this unfortunately trend to animal become even more threatened or endangered in this world. The new name of Global Biodiversity Framework, now we call Biodiversity Plan. So you can see from the the lecture, the words that we want to overcome the human caused extinction. So hopefully by 2050, we can work together and we bridge to each other and we can provide a better, more space for the animal that they can move around freely in this area. And this is also conducted, basically, we work closely with conservation planning specialist group. The conservation planning specialist group used to be the conservation breeding specialist group. So you can imagine they work very, very closely with the zoological community. But the scenario for developing a good tool or maybe the strategy usually come from the assess, plan, and act. So this is kind of scenario we need to think about the national network. So bring people, bring all the interest party together, but also we need to develop a good tool for conservation. And even more, we have to have the attitude is more ambitious conservation target. So what should we do? Are we just concentrate on feeding the cute capybara, or we need to focus on the salt clam or the other endangered species native to our range? So this is all challenge our daily work. So there are 4 pillars for developed by the Reverse Red. So first is mobilizing national network. Second is empowering communication. And also we need to measure our conservation impacts. And also we try to tell good story to amplifying success. So the last one is if we cannot tell good story, a successful story, probably cannot easily convince the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment to keep supporting us for conservation, right? So the first of all is mobilizing national network is we try to, because usually the zoological institution, we could be considered, we work mainly ex situ, which means we have animal outside of their original range. So many of these specialists, like myself, I have been trained as a field biologist from the very beginning, but now I work for the zoo. But the in situ conservation expert usually just concentrate on their work in the field. They rarely has connection to us, or we rarely have connection even to our government authority. So how to bring all these specialists together on a national level? So usually like IUCN, Species Survival Commission is a voluntary work, but bring the specialist group together. Now they think about zoos and aquarium also. But also, if possible, there are good examples to setting up center of species survival. So I think Thailand probably can think on a national level whether or not you want to have a new center for species survival, even in the new Dusit Zoo. I don't know, but it's probably one of the options, and partner to each other. So okay, this one. So this photo show you the national partnership to bring all the interest group, the NGO party or the government authority. So we have to work together on also follow the assess, plan, and act scenario to figure out what will be the priority project that we need to put our efforts on. So you can see the Malayan tiger is one of our major tasks for Taipei Zoo and Mandai. Okay, and how to empowering community is not just talking to us. I mean, among the zoo world, we talk to each other all the time. We come to the conference, we went to the workshop, but trying to convince each other is not good enough. We need to speak loud to reaching out for the one that are not in our expertise, but they can also feel the threat of the wildlife are facing. Okay, so it's very important to also to conduct the social movement and focusing on the wisdom that indigenous community has. Also, we have to train our younger generation. So many regional association of zoos and aquarium, they now have the mentorship program or the pathway to the leader. Okay. So this is kind of in the past 2 years in the Tenerife WAZA annual conference, or the last year in San Diego World Association Zoos and Aquarium annual conference. All the participants realized that this special documentary video was conducted by American human escaped from extinction. So this year they will have a brand new video released. With the subtitle will be Rewilding. Okay, so this type of documentary video actually helping the zoos and aquarium reaching out to much broader audience. So this is also in a hope that maybe by 2025, whether or not before the World Conservation Congress, whether or not we can really have our impact on much broader audience, get their support for conservation is very important. And also I noticed that ZPOT has a special exhibition for photo art. So many of us, we share our the animal in our care that Joe can take a very nice photo. But we can also work with the National Geography magazine. So many audience, when they see these photos, they will be touched. Okay, it's similar to if you want to tell a good story to your visitor. And also, we need to measure our impacts, whether or not we can put all the information together, we can align our work plan, don't duplicate our effort. So this is also very important issues that because a lot of time, different party may have their own interests, but they overlap in their effort. And it's not integrated together. So this is also a future hope that we can work together. So what you can do is first, we need to think together whether or not how can we support to develop a tool. For example, like a conservation planning specialist group has a conservation toolkit, or maybe like the zines, the Species 360, developing a new tool, new module that we can use for biobanking to store those data. And not just those templates, but also this kind of like Species 360, they need our information. So even under SIAZA umbrella, whether or not in the near future, if conservation committee asks for your story, we need your good story, we need your information, what kind of conservation project you have, and what will be the outcome. So we can pull those information together and we can support. Also, then we can advocate for ourselves and reaching out to other NGOs or even government authority. On amplifying success, again, we need to learn from each other. We need to highlight and disseminate the good example, how the other or ourselves, we have a very nice, successful conservation project. And also we need to have the expertise for storytelling. I think many of this example has been pulling together, get it ready for, as I mentioned, the World Species Congress, or maybe for the World Conservation Congress in 2025. And how to get involved? So again, we can share our information, share our own story, and we learn from each other and circulate this information to a much broader audience. And we support each other and join again. If we can send a representative to attend the World Conservation Congress, that is one option. Otherwise, like that, this year, we have the first ever 2024 World Species Congress. So some of you probably or maybe your story are in that program. So it's 24 hours around the globe virtual meeting. So again, World Association of Zoos and Aquarium, we try to figure out exactly what the role WAZA should play. So then the approach seems like we want to play a single voices for the global community of zoos and aquarium, but also catalyze our joint conservation actions. So this is very important. So how to think about how to quantify this conservation success? First of all, it's not just about the animal population in our care, but also whether or not our contribution can help the wild population in the field. And second, whether or not they could have a secure habitat to survive. This is also very important because probably you don't know is that nowadays 2% of human population pop up. So the human population grows up, and what we need is actually occupying 98% of the Earth's space. So we squeeze out, kick out all the habitat available for the wildlife. So how we work with that issue is very important. So also we need to collect all the knowledge, and we even, if possible, we need to impact the decision-making process. I know this is very difficult, but sometimes we need to work with the politicians as well. So allowing me to use some of the example from Taipei Zoo. So that probably will help you think if Taipei Zoo could, you probably can do as well as a whole. So every year, Taipei Zoo receives more than 3 million visitors. So many politicians like a Congress, City Congress, they will think, whoa, Taipei Zoo can earn big money. But the Journal of Economists, their opinion is that let's make Taipei Zoo an ideal place to implement biodiversity conservation, research, and more educational program. So different point of view is very important. And we also, the reason why we can do a good job is because our staff. So we encourage our staff to getting higher education, and we keep them work at the zoo. So we train the summer intern. So nowadays, many summer interns become our staff. So this is very important routine work. And don't ever forget, the zoos and aquarium globally, we receive more than 700 million visitors a year. So when I say, well, a broader audience, it's not just about our visitor, but maybe their family, but maybe their relatives, right? And through this work, you don't need to take note, but Taipei Zoo work with our government authority. We call that forest resources and the conservation agent. So we have an interesting project. It's a wildlife rescue program. So more than 20 years ago, many of this rescue program, we received confiscated animal because when the people try to smuggling the animals through our airport or harbor, then they got caught. So the animal sent to Taipei Zoo. But nowadays, the majority of the animal come to the rescue program is our native species. So we now have the opportunity to learn what's going on even in our own land. But through there, we can study their genetics, right? We can try to keep them alive and maybe running a breeding program. If the purpose is for them to reintroduce back into the wild, then they become the conservation breeding program. And we have this biobanking process. I know ZPOT has a good job on the biobanking process. And also, we can train the animal, but not just for entertainment, but for the medical care, right? So this is a totally different scenario. And also, we can work with those in situ party say around the integrated one planet approach conservation project. And nowadays, some of our species can be reintroduced back into the wild. And even in our backyard, we can think about rewilding. So here comes some example I can show you. So like many of the species are from Taiwan ourselves. You can see the bee-eater, migratory bee-eater, Eurasian otter, and even leopard cat. But as I already mentioned, through the daily husbandry, we know their details, and we have all the information, put that into our Chinese formatted database like this. And then few our staff can translate this into English, so bridge ourselves to species 360. So all the animal collection we have database, work with all the other good zoos around the globe. So this species 360. This is you may see some familiar face if you attend the CIAZA annual conference regularly, but we train our elephant, even lesser panda, and we have the CT work not for human, but for wildlife. And interesting enough, when Taipei Zoo introduced the giant panda, it's not just about the Trojan panda pair, it's about link our Taipei Zoo to Smithsonian National Zoo, to San Diego Zoo. And because we want to provide the best care, so all the skill has been upgraded. So we have a fantastic training program on our giant panda. But what else? We learn from each other. So not just for giant panda, but for many other species or animal in our care, now we initiate this training program. We have the protocol for that. So one species can probably change the whole thinking. And so this is for the biobanking, not just for saving their material for the future conservation, making conservation cooler, but also using this material, we has a duty to identify their origin. This is also very important for population management. When I just work for Taipei Zoo, many of the animals are through the market. So we have the budget to purchase the animal, on an annual basis for quite some time. Maybe it's still the case in Thailand, I don't know. But bear in mind, if you buy the animal from the market, even from international animal exchange, sometimes you don't have a clue where exactly those animals came from, their genetic origin. So if we run the regional population management program, now you need to conduct a survey to clarify each individual where their origin or their relative relationship to each other. Then you have a good program. Unfortunately, most of our giraffe are hybrid. The tiger from the circus, hybrid. So I don't see any future if we keep taking care of hybrid and we can say, well, this is a good conservation program. Probably not the case. And we cannot do things alone. So it's very important to work with the other association, NGO or the other zoos. So you can see many familiar names here, like Houston Zoo, we just barely signed a memorandum. The upcoming CIAZA annual conference, we will sign the conservation memorandum with Vienna Zoo, and many others are followed. Hopefully one day, ZPOT. And so through this collaborated effort, we can conduct the good breeding program. So all the species you see here, we actually work with the other institutions internationally. Like Formosa pangolin, we have a breeding pair in Prague Zoo, as you may know from the media. And also Malayan tapir, we have introduced one male from Prague Zoo, but also the other female from Mandai, Singapore. So many other, and lesser pandas from Japan and also mainland China. We have been working on Formosa pangolin for more than 30 years. From the very beginning, it's very hard to keep it alive. But luckily, we, just like when you run an emergency room, we figure out the most dangerous part is we don't have artificial dial. So finally, we consult with the other zoological institution that has a good hands on the termite or ant-eating animals, like anteater or the others. So we transform that recipe to the unique recipe good for Formosa pangolin. So nowadays the survival rate goes up, and we can, monitoring their breeding program process through the hormone, and also we can using ultrasonic to scan to estimate their date of birth. So like this year, my colleague paired three pair, and 2 of the female got pregnant. So it's quite good. It's very difficult if you are working on the pangolin, but there's a lot of knowledge we actually collect, and we can even have a remote help to Prague Zoo when they have the difficulty. And even for a lot of resources like the animal poo, we can, transform that become fertilizer if you have enough amount. Okay, so sustainability is also another interesting part that we can all work together, to saving the water, saving the energy, but recycle a lot of material that are using inside our zoo. But just recent years, we have this idea, our backyard eventually are the natural habitat to the endangered species native to our country, right? So think about if you have a good, huge property, and many of those areas may not be used by building or road or some other construction. So keep those areas as natural as possible. So nowadays, at Taipei Zoo itself, we stopped using pesticide for more than 10 years. All of a sudden, my colleague can survey, they discover more than 87 species of odonata, dragonfly, and damselfly. And there are 160 species in Taiwan, but only in Taipei Zoo you can identify 87. I'm not, even more crazy. They usually will very proudly share with me, oh, this is a male and that is female. I say, what? Well, should I know that? It's very interesting. But also we see the small carnivore coming back, barking deer coming back, and the birds coming back. So they are using our habitat. So this is kind of idea how we work with our, environment and make it available for our native species. So we call that rewilding partially. And this is a very small, little tiny frog, Taipei frog. It used to widely distributed in western part of Taiwan, but nowadays only 3 little tiny habitat. But this year, Taipei Zoo will reintroduce 2,000 individual offspring back into the selected habitat. So first of thing, we need to communicate with the local farmer, local landowner to keep their habitat as natural as possible, and also polish it a little bit. So because the little tiny frog need a quite diverse habitat, it's not just a pool or a grassland. If the habitat looks very diverse, then they can have a chance to survive. So then we communicate with them, and we also monitoring this program. Also, even the fecal sample, we have a crazy staff working in the battlefield remote island from Taiwan, Kinmen Island, collect the fecal sample from Eurasian otter. So Dr. Zhang Liao know exactly each individual, their movement around the island. But Eurasian otter used to widely distributed also in Taiwan, main island, but no longer the case. So probably if the population in Kinmen Island reach the carrying capacity, in the near future, we can discuss about the reintroduction program from Kinmen Eurasian otter to Taiwan. Also, we work with Taiwan Biodiversity Research Institute. Our role, Taipei Zoo, is for conservation breeding. So all the offspring, because this leopard cat keep coming into our rescue program. So we save those that cannot be easily released back directly into the wild. And those individuals, if they are young, they are still able to breed, they will join our breeding group. So every year we can reproduce maybe 3 or 4 individuals, So make those available for the TBRI so they can monitor this leopard cat in the wild. And once in a while, we receive huge amount because of human interest. So we receive huge amount of tortoise or turtle. And we learn from there because usually the smuggler, they put all the sample together, right? So if we don't tackle the issue about infectious disease, sometimes the animal is going to die quickly. So then some of our staff are interested about infectious disease, and we develop those markers, or so we can quickly identify what's going on, and if there is any potential for infectious disease, we can separate the individual for security reason. So luckily, step by step, some of those native species recover, like the yellow margin box turtle. So we can release back them into the wild, even in the zoo backyard. And we monitor those turtles. You know why? Because they are not moving fast. So for our staff, it's much easier to get satisfaction. They will have data. So they monitor the turtle whenever they are free of duty. They will go out to monitor the damselfly or dragonfly or this yellow margin box turtle. And you can see on the right corner, there is the 5 years tracing data for the yellow margin box turtle. And sometimes we use a little bit budget to work with the international friends. Like one day I received an email from Prague Zoo saying like, hey, Eric, we are short of couple $1,000 US. So we donate the money. And all of a sudden I realized, gosh, Taipei Zoo's name is on the website. We are part of the program. So this is a program to reintroduce Perovsky horse, the European population breeding program. So they set this Perovsky horse back to the Gobi Desert. Would that be amazing? You only spend little amount of money, but you are in the program. Also, I think we have other project talking about II, because we are also a member of Madagascar Fauna and Flora Group. And also we can join the gorilla conservation program. Not to mention about biobanking. I add ZPOT because Pika and Joy probably have to join us during the upcoming CIAZA annual conference. We will have a biobanking workshop, share our knowledge to the other colleagues around the globe for this. So if you check the news, it won't be hard to find that 2 years ago, San Diego Zoo decided to bring back the Perovsky horse, or maybe the white rhinoceros, and even the black-footed ferret, because when this individual alive, they don't even have opportunity to breed. But at least we can save the life cell, okay, for the future opportunity. When you have the proper age, proper sex, we can do the good job. So for our region, so Taipei Zoo, we work very hard for environmental education. We try to use the social media to release our information, and we run the training course, and we communicate with the school teacher as well. So even the souvenir, we try to telling the stories through the design of our souvenir. So this is some example. We have a newborn of Malayan tapir, but can't really explain to you why. But the Malayan tapir, their name is very easy to think about, inspire people's creativity. So that we try to have a special program to allow the general public to name the little baby. So all of a sudden, we received tons of visits. And the Malayan tapir, of course, become very famous. And even during the COVID, we can using the animal to describe the social distance. So show your creativity and even the live photos. I know you have, well, ZPOT is on the process to construct a new Dusit Zoo, right? So when we have this opportunity, I think Taipei Zoo made a very wise decision more than 10 years ago, because we want to have a building symbolize our conservation work. So we work with the architect, and finally we decided to having this building to symbolize Formosa pangolin. So this is a pangolin dome. If you ever have a chance, please do pay it a visit. So Taipei Zoo run a very good job conservation work on Formosa pangolin, and we also have a pangolin dome. What do you think about that? So not just about this, about the international documentary video or the photo arc, as I mentioned already, many of our good story, our activity will attract the attention from BBC, Discovery, National Geography, even the Animal Planet. They have the zoo series, right? So not just a national, but the international public television station, they will pay interest to work with us to have this documentary video, you know. And here is the book published by Conservation Planning Specialist Group whiles ago. But as I mentioned, like a Conservation Planning Specialist Group used to be Conservation Breeding Specialist Group. But their expertise is to work with all the experts, so with all the interest group, trying to put all the effort together and prioritize our need and the action plan. So like, as I said, assess, plan, and act. So this is a good example. If you have opportunity, please go to the website, check out the second nature. So all of this animal has their second opportunity to become more populated in the wild. The most successful story probably come from the golden lion tamarin. It's symbolized a cross-regional collaboration in between AZA and IAZA. But also they have this agreement with the Brazilian government. So all individual of this golden lion tamarin, they give up the ownership to Brazilian government. So Brazilian government, can keep the nice habitat for reintroduction. So they reach their goal even several years before the deadline, which is very good. So coming back to the reverse of red, it has to be scientific based. We need to develop our tool. We share our best practice and figure out our strategy all together. But it's also about working together, to don't duplicate our effort and implement all the actions. And we need to enforce our storytelling and increase our influences. So from the local level, again, how can we share our own idea and trying to reduce the extinction of threatened species in our care, or our native species at least, okay? And this is very important. And also from the national level is to support the recovery networks. So which means we have to have national specialists could work together, and we need to figure out our priority, and maybe even like the national biodiversity strategy and action plans. We need to support this and figure out what to do. And also how to demonstrate the success at the global level. So we barely just like in the May, we have the first ever 2024 World Species Congress. So surprisingly, it's all registered. We have more than 10,000 attendees, but many of these attendees, at least in Taipei Zoo, we have one participant, but we actually share the screen with everybody. So we have probably more than 20, 30 colleagues staying in the one room watching the big screen together. So it's underestimated number, but it's from more than 200 countries working together. And there are side events to keep this working So later on, we will also, if you go to pay a visit to the Reverse Red website or maybe the World Species Congress, there are lots of webinars waiting online. So again, Reverse Red is creating the roadmap for your involvement. So from the local level all the way to the global level, is very important. So one thing here is about the species pledge. So if you are ready, our institution can put our information together and join this effort to showcase your successful story through the species pledge. And also, take a look at this Reverse Red short guide. If possible, please form a study group so you can translate the English into your own language in Thai, right? So we need your help for this. So as we know that there is another Asian Species Action Partnership focusing on all the critical endangered vertebrates in Asia. So when I mentioned about the priority, probably my suggestion will be we should at least take a look of our collection. If there's any chance we can work on this critical endangered species together, it's very important. So when Taipei Zoo look at this, we have polyminer, we have orangutan, we have Burmese star tortoise, we have pangolin, we have Vietnam pheasant. So probably you have the same, right? So we should work together maybe through the SIAZA umbrella at least. So next, maybe I don't know if I can play this. Okay. A voices.
Is each species risk of extinction on the IUCN Red List? The Red List provides a barometer of life. And every year, the outlook gets worse. More than 31,000 species are currently threatened with extinction. Most because of human action. But human action can also reverse the Red List trend. So conservationists, governments, and communities around the world are joining forces, activating tried and tested IUCN tools in a coordinated effort to assess, plan, and act for wildlife. Together, we can save species from extinction. Together, we can win the fight for our planet's future. Together, we can reverse the red.
So it's probably time for everybody to join us. So you can go to the website or scan this QR code. But we need everyone to stay update with news and engage your opportunity and call for action. So we should work together. And last but not the least, the SIAZA annual conference this year will be hosted by Taipei Zoo as part of the celebration of our 110th anniversary. It would be fun if you ever attend the 2014 annual conference in Taipei. You probably have a nice memory. So trying to talk to your big boss to get their support. Yeah, so hopefully we'll see you in Taipei. Thank you.
Yeah.